After losing in the playoff final in 2024, many doubted if Leeds would return to England's top flight.
It's all over, and the Leeds United season ends in absolute heartbreak. Leeds United will look to another season in the Championship.
Especially after a summer that saw them lose their top players. But under Daniel Farke's leadership, Leeds didn't crumble. Instead, they roared back. Behind closed doors, Leeds rebuilt not just a team, but a culture. No excuses, no egos, just a relentless drive to finish what they started. Well, it worked.
These are the scenes.
Yes,
you can see champagne is going everywhere.
They ran through the championship the way guys run through Lily Phillips. They reached the 100-point mark for the first time in the club's history, and now they are back to where they belong, the Premier League.
We are Premier League, say we are Premier League.
It's not just promotion, it's redemption. And since Amazon Prime isn't doing a documentary on them, I will do my best. This is the story of Leeds United.
Solomon with a chance to shoot! Ah, yes! What a finish from Manor Solomon! Nonto into Solomon, Solomon into Pirou! Pirou! Solomon approaches it now, and he curls his effort to Nonto! Nonto arrives, perfect timing!
Leeds returning back to the Premier League is football heritage. This is a club that was a powerhouse in English football during the late 20th century. Under legendary manager Don Revie, they won 2 First Division titles, an FA Cup and a League Cup. Leeds were known for their intense physical style and tactical sophistication. Keep in mind, before Don Revie took over as player manager in 1961, Leeds were struggling in the 2nd Division. He implemented transformative changes, one of which included wearing an all-white kit inspired by Real Madrid and focusing on developing young talent. He fostered a family-like atmosphere and even introduced meticulous pre-match preparations with detailed analysis of opponents. Then in the early 2000s, under David O'Leary, Leeds enjoyed a new era of success, reaching the UEFA Champions League semi-finals in 2001. Players like Harry Kewell, an Australian winger known for his creativity and pace, Alan Smith, no, not the Arsenal striker turned commentator, this guy was born in 1980 and was a homegrown striker with an eye for goal, and Mark Viduka, an Australian forward whose strength and finishing were pivotal. These players made the club one of the most exciting teams in Europe. Under O'Leary, Leeds never finished outside the top 5 in the Premier League. But then, problems arose. Under chairman Peter Ridsdale, Leeds had taken out large loans against the prospects of the share of the TV rights and sponsorship revenue they would get from Champions League qualification, and the subsequent revenue they would get from progressing in the competition. However, Leeds failed to qualify for the Champions League in 2 successive seasons, and as a result, did not receive enough income to repay the loan. Finding themselves in financial trouble, Leeds sold their star defender Rio Ferdinand to Manchester United for approximately £30 million. Ridsdale and O'Leary publicly fell out over the sale, and O'Leary was dismissed on the 27th of June 2002. With him no longer as the manager, Leeds began to struggle. Players that Ridsdale promised wouldn't be sold were sold in order to repay the loan. Leeds ended up avoiding relegation in the 2003 season, thanks to a win against Arsenal, but the next season, they couldn't avoid the drop. Following relegation to the Championship, assistant manager Kevin Blackwell was appointed as the manager. Most of the remaining players were sold or released on free transfers to reduce the high wage bill. Blackwell was forced to rebuild almost the entire squad through free transfers, and Leeds were forced to sell both their training ground and stadium in the autumn of 2004. With the team performing poorly, Blackwell's contract was terminated, and Leeds hired John Carver as a caretaker manager, but his spell was not a success, and he was relieved of his duties, with Dennis Wise eventually installed as his replacement on the 24th of October 2006. But even Wise was unable to lift the team out of the relegation zone, despite bringing in a number of experienced loan players and free transfers on short-term deals. With relegation being inevitable, Leeds entered administration on the 4th of May 2007, incurring a league-imposed 10-point deduction and officially being relegated to the 3rd tier of English football. The club had previously never played any lower than the 2nd tier, a dark period for Leeds fans. It wasn't until the appointment of Bielsa that the Leeds United resurgence began. Known as El Loco, Bielsa brought a unique philosophy to the club: high pressing, relentless energy, and attacking football. Thanks to his innovative tactics and meticulous approach, Leeds were promoted back to the Premier League in 2020 2020 after a 16-year absence. A team that at one point was a Champions League semi-finalist were back where they belong. Thanks to Bielsa, several Leeds players had made huge jumps in their development. Calvin Phillips was playing amazing as a midfielder. Back then, he was one of England's best players. Just go look at his performances at the 2020 Euros. Patrick Bamford was the team's leading striker, scoring 16 goals in the championship. And Jack Harrison was developing into a much-needed creative winger that created chances for others while also getting goals. The club's first season back was fantastic. They finished in the top half of the table, getting the highest point tally ever by a newly promoted side. Their relentless energy and pressing that had allowed them to dominate teams in the championship was now working in the Premier League. But unfortunately, that dominance did not last long. In the 2022 season, Leeds really struggled. Their pressing was now being exposed by the bigger clubs, as seen by their 6-0 loss to Liverpool and 4-0 defeat to Tottenham that left the team close to the relegation zone. It didn't help that the team's key players like Calvin Phillips, Liam Cooper, and Patrick Bamford all had long-term injuries. The club chairman, Andrea Radrizzani, expressed that something was broken within the team dynamic, saying that a managerial change was needed to avoid relegation. Post Bielsa, Leeds appointed Jesse Marsch in February of 2022. Despite his efforts though, the club continued to struggle, leading to further managerial changes, including a brief tenure from Sam Allardyce in May of 2023. However, even Big Sam was unable to prevent Leeds from dropping back to the championship. But what we have seen in Leeds' story is that every fall is often followed by a rise.
Some breaking news. Daniel Farke has been appointed the head coach of Leeds United.
Daniel Farke's appointment as manager in July of 2023 was a great decision. He had previously won the championship not once, but twice with Norwich. His philosophy was solid. Farke wanted his side to dominate possession as much as possible. If I could choose, I would have the ball for 90 minutes, Farke told The Independent in 2017. He came in and immediately instilled his 4-2-3-1 setup. In his first season in charge, his tactics were working. Leeds finished third with 90 points and were one win away from making it back to the Premier League. But then in the summer, Leeds began to lose players. Their first one being one of their best academy products in Archie Gray. He ended up going to Tottenham, while the championship player of the season, Somerville, went to West Ham. These were two guys that were vital to Leeds' run to Wembley, and now they were gone. Now you could argue that those sales were expected, but then the sale of Jorginho to Brighton after the season had just started came out of the blue. The squad was unraveling. But even with those departures, Leeds had a strong squad. They had recruited well, bringing in players that weren't just good on the ball, but were strong mentally. According to The Athletic, that was a specific request from Farke. He was looking for players with character over anything else. Players with balls of steel that could help Leeds get over the finish line. Forget resale value and development. They wanted players that could help them win and win now.
Then you have to make many decisions in terms of the group of players, because you need to be smart and good decisions with incomings and outcomings. And
Joe Rodon became a permanent signing after his successful loan spell, coming in and solidifying the defense. I mean, this guy is just an absolute unit. Then ex-Sheffield United fullback Jayden Bogle brought grit and experience. Japan international midfielder Tanaka was brought in for diversity. No, I'm joking. This guy is a baller, and I will show you just how good he is later in the video. Add in the loan signings of Rothwell and Solomon, and there was quality all around. Yet the season actually started slow. Farke's men had no win from their first 3 games in all competitions. They were moving like Manchester United. Unlike the Red Devils though, Leeds realized they're actually good and decided to lock in. Kind of like when you lean over while playing FIFA. They ended up beating Sheffield United 2-0, and that win started their domination. By November, Leeds were in 2nd place. Then they went on a 3-month unbeaten run in the league. It was during that run where they absolutely bent Cardiff over and spanked them 7-0. It wasn't just a win, but a message. Leeds weren't just grinding out results anymore. They were playing with freedom and ruthlessness. Late comebacks against Sunderland and Sheffield showed the mental toughness Farke had built in the side. An incredible 17-game unbeaten run, the club's best since 1974, pushed Leeds to the top of the table. They were 5 points clear and steamrolling through everyone. Promotion, well, it seemed inevitable, but the championship rarely provides a smooth path to the Premier League. In March, Leeds had just 1 win from 5 matches. After a 2-2 draw with Swansea, Farke actually dropped his starting goalie, Meslier, for Carl Darlow. The Frenchman had gifted the Welsh side their first equalizer.
Catch it, punch it, do anything but drop it.
And that wasn't the first time he had made a costly error. He was also at fault in the draws against Sunderland and Hull City. Fortunately, March ended up just being a slight bump in the road. Leeds got back to winning ways in April, and during that same time, Sheffield completely fell apart, losing 3 times in a row. As a result, the Whites went from 3rd back into 1st, 5 points clear of Chris Wilder's side. And then, Leeds' demolition of Stoke made it official with 2 games to spare. They were coming back to the Premier League. The year before, they had lost in a heartbreaking final. Now they had sealed promotion thanks to 4 goals from Peru. So what makes this Leeds squad so dominant? Well, the first factor is of course Farke, and a club that, let's be honest, has a very emotional fan base.
Yes, obviously I work for a pretty emotional club, probably one of the most emotional clubs in this country.
The German is the opposite. He's very calm and balanced, both on and off camera. Makes sense, he is German, these guys are like ice cold. According to The Athletic, the players have even spoken very highly of Farke's emotional intelligence. He has never been too high or too low during the campaign. He also gives players freedom to play, as he has faith in their abilities. In a time where managers want to micromanage, it's actually nice to see a manager let his team play. And you can see how much the players enjoy that based on their performances. Look at Peru, who ends the season as Leeds' top goal scorer. Now, he isn't the fastest guy out there, but he doesn't need to be because he can put the ball in the back of the net. He is lethal in the box, as evident by how he got his first 3 goals against Stoke. Peru's job does become easier thanks to the amount of creativity around him. On the wings, you have Solomon and Nonto, 2 pacey guys that love to run at defenders and create chaos. If you play Leeds, you better make sure that both of your fullbacks can defend, because they can punish you on either wing. Nonto actually got some backlash from Leeds fans after his transfer request to Everton following their relegation. He also got criticized for his inconsistent performances, but Farke has been getting the best out of him. The Italian might be small in height, but he's incredible at escaping from congested areas. He's also very good on the ball, and thanks to his low center of gravity, he's able to change his pace and direction very quickly. He has stepped up after the club lost Somerville to West Ham. And if you think you can handle those guys, well, Leeds also have Dan James that they can bring off the bench. Yes, this is the guy who used to play for United. People labeled him as a speed merchant, but he's so much more than that.
Attacks the edge of the box. Has he shot? How about that from Dan James? Superb strike.
And frankly, even if he was a speed merchant, he has played far better in England than any of Garnacho, Sancho, or Anthony. But it's not just the wingers that can help create chances, it's also the fullbacks. Firpo and Bogle got 13 assists between the 2 of them and 10 goals. It's actually very nice to see teams playing with real wingbacks. Pep's trouble-winning City side made all these managers think that center back and fullback is the new meta, while Leeds are raw dogging everyone with a normal left back and right back setup. The fullbacks are able to push up because Leeds' center back partnerships are as solid as a rock. Whether it's Struijk and Rodon or Ampadu and Rodon, the defense still remains strong. Farke's decision to make Ethan Ampadu captain has been one of the most important decisions he's made at the club. Not only has Ampadu been a great defender on the pitch, but decisions like having the bonus shared equally among all players in the team has shown that he's also a great leader off the pitch. Even with 2 knee injuries, he continues to be the heartbeat of the squad. Then in front of the back 4 is the double pivot midfield of Rothwell and Tanaka, 2 guys that give you a little bit of everything. I've seen Leeds also use Gruev and Ampadu there, but early in the season it was clear that Rothwell and Tanaka offered more creativity, although the Bulgarian has stepped up greatly when he was needed when Rothwell was injured. Tanaka has actually become a fan favorite. In the 3 years that he was in Germany, he had become one of the best midfielders in the 2nd division of the Bundesliga, and he showed exactly why in his brief debut against Hull City. In just 10 minutes, he had made almost as many successful passes as Hull's entire team. From then on, it has been smooth sailing. He is able to dictate the tempo and gives Leeds calmness when under pressure. What makes Tanaka so special is that he also has an eye for goal from midfield. In general, he gives the team an extra edge in the final third, whether it's shooting himself, dribbling past players, or finding the killer pass. He will help you score. What I personally have loved about Leeds is their directness. They scored more goals than anyone else in the championship. Like, no one is even close to them. They're almost as hungry for goals as Czechs are for clout. Leeds' journey to promotion wasn't just about talent, though the team has plenty of it. It was also about a cultural shift. Farke built a squad where no ego could survive, where the veterans lifted the youngsters, and where setbacks were met with quiet determination, not panic. Look at Ethan Ampadu. Despite battling 2 knee injuries, he became the symbol of everything Leeds stood for: resilience. humility, and unity. Then players like Tanaka, Bogle, and Peru delivered when it mattered the most. And Farke, well, he silenced any doubt about his ability to lead teams under pressure. Now Leeds United are back in the Premier League, but survival will be a different kind of fight. If Farke is to stay, the board must back him, because the goal shouldn't be to just stay up, but to build a team that belongs among England's elite. For now though, the people of Leeds can finally celebrate. No empty stadiums, no playoff heartbreak. After all the pain and after all the setbacks, Leeds are back. And this time, they're ready for whatever comes next. Hopefully they add some excitement back into the Premier League, because England's top flight, it's been getting a little boring. To see why the Premier League feels that way, you have to check out this video right here.